This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
All right, so it's Wednesday. We're getting our first injury report of the week as practice begins on Wednesday for most teams. And the Browns have some things on the injury report we want to get through. So let's just start out this video looking at the injury report, going through it, seeing if there's anything interesting of note on either side. We heard the whole thing with Jordan Love having that thumb injury. Seems like that's not going to stop him from playing. It could affect his ability to play. It's his left thumb. I believe he's right-handed. Is he not? Is he left-handed? Yeah, now Jordan Love is right-handed, so I don't know how much that's really going to matter. I know that he's been dealing with this thumb issue since the preseason. He went and got surgery on that left hand. Somebody who's played quarterback at a high level can tell me if that matters or not. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it matters just from looking at it. But yeah, Jordan Love is on the injury report, but he was a full participant today at practice for the Green Bay Packers. Nate Hobbs limited, Josh Jacobs limited. I expect them to play. Who did not practice? Jaden Reed didn't play, but it looks like Jaden Reed's going to be put on IR soon. So we know what's going on with that one. If we look at the Browns injury report, I think there are a couple of things that are interesting here. I don't really know what to make of them right now, but they're interesting for sure. Let's pull up the Browns part of this injury report. Joe Bitonio, not at practice today. I thought at first maybe it's because he was getting a vet day off. He wasn't getting a vet day off. Malik Collins got the vet day off today, which, well-deserved. Malik Collins played great last week. Joe Bitonio is out in practice this week, did not participate because of a back injury. I'm a bit concerned, right? Joel's back, as he's gotten older, has been the problem, right? Like, he has dealt with back injuries specifically since he's gotten older, right? Like, that's a big thing with Joe Bitonio. So the back injury popping up this week, it's a bit of a concern, right? Now they can't throw Tevin Jenkins in there. Some Browns fans want the Browns to throw Tevin Jenkins in there because they think Joe's cooked, but the Browns could throw Tevin in there. I guess that could work out, right? Like, I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world if Joe missed this week. But Joe back injury, it's something y'all to pay attention to because he was DNP in today's practice. And that back injury, it's one of those things when they listed on there, I'm like, hey, that's been a problem for Joe in the past here. Corey Bajorquez, ankle injury, was limited in practice today. He played through it. The one thing I will say about ankle injuries is they tend to get worse as they sit. So it's been from Sunday to Wednesday. So it's gotten to swell up, sit. If he feels like he can punt, if he feels like he's going to be fine on Sunday, then good. Because it was really concerning. Corey Bajorquez is probably one of the better punters in the league, and not having him or having him be at some kind of more fragile state is concerning because we don't have a backup punter, obviously. DeAndre Carter, concussion protocol. We saw Isaiah Bond step in as the returner instead of DeAndre Carter last week. I thought that was interesting, but the reason that was is because DeAndre was in concussion protocol. I don't know if I feel great about Isaiah Bond being the punt returner, but what is clear to me is that that's who they want to go with, right? Like, they're gonna go and give those snaps and teach Isaiah Bond how to return punts because they want him to do that kind of stuff on this team. So that's what Isaiah Bond is going to do. That's going to be a role for him. That probably spells the end for DeAndre Carter if Isaiah Bond gets remotely comfortable with it. Now, last week he wasn't. Like, this is flat out the truth. He looked terrified to be returning those punts. Not because he was scared of getting hit. I think he was scared of fumbling the ball or losing the ball, creating a turnover as the punt returner, because there were a couple times where he had an alley to make something happen. It would have been really helpful for the Browns, and he really didn't take it because he wanted to be very conservative with making sure he didn't turn it over, which I appreciate because, look, a good return would make me happy. A muff punt would piss me off. So, I'm willing to accept that sometimes that philosophy means that there's some return punts aren't going to be made. But, yeah, that's interesting. DeAndre Carter here, concussion protocol. They brought back Gage Larvin on the practice squad. More proof that they were never going to put Gage in as the punt returner or kick returner. And that's because they felt like Isaiah Bond is going to take that role eventually. Malik Collins, we just discussed that. Not injury related, just getting rest. Jack Conklin still on the injury report, still limited. And today was a padded practice, by the way. It's worth noting. Today was a padded practice. Still limited with that elbow. Hey, man, he needs to get back if he can play. Like, the Browns need Jack Conklin back as soon as possible. I don't know why Cornelius Lucas has looked as bad as he did. Like, he was supposed to be a really solid backup tackle. He looks bad out there the first 2 weeks. Now, maybe he gets back, plays a good game this week. We're not complaining about it anymore. But they need Jack Conklin back. I have a film breakdown coming out tomorrow that's going to show you just how badly this team is just missing Jack Conklin right now, especially in pass protection. It's bad. So Jack Conklin, I'm crossing my fingers right now that he gets a Thursday practice, because if he gets a full go Thursday practice, he will play. The same thing is true of Mike Hall, who was also limited today. Remember what they said last week, right? Wednesday's not the most important today, but they were padded today. So I don't know if that changes things up, but he was limited in practice. I hope that he can be full on Thursday. We can see Mike Hall play next week. And then Denzel Ward, full participant, was on the injury report with shoulder cramping, and with his shoulder and his cramping in his body or whatever it was. So Grant Delpit also on the injury report, back injury. We're going to talk more about the Browns, their injury status, and specifically Dewan Jones, because that's been a big topic of conversation. But before we do, let me thank my sponsor for today, Sleeper. Hey, real quick, I want to tell you about a little bit of a sleeper of an app called Sleeper. Has fantasy, has news feed, has picks. You can do it all on the Sleeper app. Make sure you use it. Sign up using the promo code Worst Take and get to 100% match on up to $100 when you use promo code Worst Take. Again, 100% match for up to $100 when you use promo code Worst Take. You have a great day. Now, let's continue the video. All right, so strange news with Dewan Jones. Strange situation with Dewan Jones last week, right? So what had happened for those who have not been paying attention, Dewan Jones was in the game, and then for like a little while in the game, he was taken out and then put back in. And that was very strange, right? Now, for other positions, this is not strange. Myles Garrett missed a good chunk of the third quarter. Denzel Ward missed a good chunk of the game, right, in and out. Apparently, there was a lot of heat issues, a lot of cramps. Something was going on with the heat there. But Dewan Jones missed a few snaps. People are really fixating on that. They came out today and said, Dewan Jones said it was a coach's precaution, that he wasn't dehydrated, cramping, was unsure if the team would do the same. Now, one, I wonder if that's just what they're saying publicly and they're hiding some sort of discipline that happened that week on the sidelines. It screams something along those lines. And to me, I feel like they're not telling the whole story with that, because either Dewan has some kind of condition or that makes him extremely sensitive to heat exhaustion. I don't know what that condition would be. I am not a doctor. I would not know these things, but maybe he has some sort of condition that means that, hey, if you get to this level of humidity and heat or whatever, because Baltimore is on the ocean technically, right? So maybe it's humidity, heat, it creates some kind of index that means you got to be careful about playing on the whole game. Maybe there's something funky like that going on that they don't want to disclose because it's a private medical condition that Dewan has that he doesn't want to disclose. Maybe it's because they were punishing Dewan and they just used this as a cover. I don't know. It does seem a little strange, right? My opinion is that I think something else was going on with Dewan that they don't feel comfortable telling us, right? Because I don't think he was gassed. I watched that game. I watched him in that game. Dewan actually, like, to give him credit, played really well against the Baltimore Ravens. I thought he had a pretty good game against Baltimore from an offensive line standpoint. One of his better run blocking performances. I thought he did a really good job in pass pro. I thought he was fine in the game. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because at no point while I was watching Dewan did he look gassed. Now, there are times where they have pulled Dewan Jones because he was gassed and out of shape and out of condition. And every time they've done that, you can watch the tape and see it. It's obvious he's gassed. This did not happen this week. I watched the tape. I looked at him. He looked fine. He looked like he had the same amount of energy at the end of the game than he did at the beginning. So I don't know if I buy that he was just simply gassed. The coaches are covering for him by saying it was a coach precaution. I feel like they're covering for something, but it's something that we might not really understand why they're covering, right? Like, I don't know. Maybe Dewan had to use the bathroom. Maybe Dewan had some kind of condition. Maybe Dewan got in trouble by the offensive line coach and this was discipline. I don't think this is as straightforward as he got gassed, they took them out. I don't think it is. Because, again, I think you would see evidence of him being gassed and being exhausted. Because usually when Dewan gets pulled, you can see it. Now, let's go to the coaching side of this, right? Because I do have a criticism for the coaching staff here. If this is the case, right, and I don't know, maybe if it was disciplined and this doesn't stand, but if you had to take him off the field a certain amount of time because he has some kind of condition or whatever it is that you need to be extra precautious of because of the heat, I think there are better ways to do it than to just pull him for a drive. I think if you're the Browns, you can consider lowering how much he's in on run plays, right? Like sometimes they do this thing where they put Dewan as the eligible tackle on the opposite side. Maybe he just doesn't need to be checked in for that play and somebody else can do that responsibility, right? If you really needed to give Dewan a blow in this game strategically because of something he has going on, then I think there were better ways to hide that than to just pull him in a drive, a critical drive of the game. So I'm not really happy with how that was handled, but I don't know what they were handling, to be honest, right? And that makes it more frustrating. So that's the Dewan Jones bit. I want to talk about this Joe Burrow thing briefly because I think it's an interesting story. Bengals coach today said they did not have a timeline for when Joe Burrow will have surgery. Was firm in not ruling him out for the season. Now, this is interesting to me because remember the recovery timeline is 12 weeks to recover from the surgery, right? Who knows how long to get him cleared to return to play. So the longer he has to wait to get the surgery, the longer the recovery window becomes. And keep in mind, for a acute injury like this, a severe acute injury like this, there might be a wait time on the surgery, right? Like, you might want to get a specific doctor to perform this surgery. It's such an acute surgery that I imagine that there's not a ton of people who are really, really good at it. So you're probably going to have to want to get, the doctor for that injury, but that doctor's probably really booked up with surgeries because they're probably in high demand. So it's not like you could just move everybody out the way and just go next week, right? Like he might have to wait a week or two to get the surgery. You might have to wait for the swelling to go down to get the surgery, right? Like a bunch of things kind of factor in with when he can get that surgery. So that's why I think they threw out that window of like, hey, it's a minimum of 12 weeks. Best case scenario, he gets the surgery as soon as possible. He can be back in 12 weeks. But there's a chance that he might not be able to get that surgery as soon as possible. They might have to wait a little bit. Then it turns into 13 weeks, right? And then, like, what's the return to play? What does the rehab look like for an injury like that? That can be longer than you think, and I can see how this injury could linger. I understand why the Bengals aren't going to rule him out for the season right now because they don't have to. But I feel like this seems like, remember when JOK got hurt and the Browns refused to rule him out for the season? But then week by week goes on, and they're like, no, he's not close. No, he's not going to practice. And it's like eventually you catch on that he's not going to play for the rest of the year, and then you get to March this year, and they tell you he's out this year. Now, I don't think it's going to be that severe for Joe Burrow, but I think eventually they're going to have to give up the charade and just say, hey, he's out for the season, because I don't think he's coming back. That's my guess. Now, it's Joe Burrow. Maybe he no-sells this whole thing, comes back super fast. I don't know, but my guess is that he's not coming back. But that's my thoughts. That's what's happened today with the Cleveland Browns. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.